Everyone else? Everyone else in the room? It's clear for me. What about you guys? Yeah.
And I must say, I did added a couple of things after I sent you the presentation because I got some additional feedback. So I just changed minor things, but it shouldn't be
Okay.
trouble for those who already had the presentation.
Sure. Thanks. Yadira. Ms. Yadira, will we be starting now or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was waiting for that.
Okay, all right. I was wondering.
All right.
It's like a silence. Please begin whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. So, hello everybody, and I'm Yadi. I'm Yadira Caro, and I work. I am the founder of the company, founder of Hardcore Soft Skills, and I'm here from Tampa, Florida, in the United States. So very far from everyone over here, and but I'm very happy to meet you all and be here, offering some of the knowledge that I have earned through my experience, education, and when I've been coaching different teams in different tech fields about the importance of soft skills. And my purpose today is to give you at least some bit of information that you can use that will motivate you to continue learning more. So what I'm going to do a big presentation of the framework that I use first, and then in the second half, then we'll go ahead and address all the questions. So thank you all for answering the questions that I provided, because it was very helpful to know what are your main concerns today. So, and talking about the challenges, so these were the main challenges that were cited by those of you who responded to the survey. So managing the time, always a challenge. Promoting our work, and I'll give you some tips to help with that part. And same with coming up with good solutions, because as experts, as you are on your technical fields and the fields that you are, it's always difficult to come up with new ideas too. And dealing with conflict, because dealing with conflict is something that we happen to deal all the time. Conflict is a good thing, and I'll show you a little bit about that and how to manage it in our presentation. All right, So when I talk about soft skills, so just so you know, even though I'm presenting in English, my main language is Spanish. So we call it a different name, like the difference between destrezas blandas, like the soft skills, even though the name could sound a little bit awkward, and the hard skills is like destrezas técnicas or duras, like or hard skills. So it might differ in your language how you refer to those. But what the point here is that the soft skills are those skills that we consider that you cannot really like, they don't really teach as much in school, or that perhaps there's not a specific process, like when you learn a new programming language, that it's very detailed and you know if you're doing it good or not. Or if you learn a new language, like learning Italian could be different. I have to know the right words. So it's very important to distinguish that the soft skills are the ones that depend on the people that you deal with. It's the other skills that help the hard skills work. So here's some example, because right now the term soft, it's seen as negative, like, oh, it's just nice to have, it's not important. And that's not the case. Soft skills are very important now, especially in the age of AI and as technology continues progressing, because these are now known as power skills, human skills, and these are skills, as its name says, because sometimes we think that they refer to personality, like I am born a good communicator, or I am born with the ability to manage difficult situations. Yes, that is the case, but also there are techniques and tools that we can learn to become better at these skills. So a difference here between says hard skills. By hard doesn't mean that they're, difficult necessarily. It's like hard skills is like the skills that deal with learning a language, or learning something technical, like they're fixing a car, or learning a new language, a programming language. And the soft skills could be applied to any role, and they also will vary how we apply them based on the scenario as well. So, and I consider this, I call that the hardcore part, because it's an expression when we say that we're dedicated and they require our commitment. So that's why I call them, in the name of my organization, being hardcore soft skills. All right. So in terms of the top skills for the future, why is it important? Because it is important internationally, because I was looking at a report from the World Economic Forum, and it was doing a survey in multiple countries all around the world, like in the Americas, in Europe, in Africa, in all around the world, multiple countries. And it was evaluating how are going to be the jobs for the future. And the jobs for the future, some don't even exist yet because things are changing so quickly. But the important thing is, like, in order to prepare, if we want to have a job in the next 5 years, what are the important skills to have? So you're already building important skills that you need to have now. You're building knowledge in the technical aspect. You're building very important skills that will be useful anywhere. And in this list, it's not my list, it's a list from the report that show that these are the top skills that employers consider that will be important: analytical thinking, creative thinking, motivation, empathy. And even though we think like, yeah, these are things that we do analyze, or we are good at them or not, but again, it's the part of knowing that we can build these skills through practice as well. So I'll pause so you can take a look at some of the top 10 skills for the future up to 2030 and beyond. All right. Now, from what I do. So what I do when I work with teams is that I show them how to work together, or I show people that are on the tech field and in the operations field how to become better at what they do and what they produce and the projects they work in, but by developing their soft skills. And I use a framework, more like a roadmap. So I realize that there's so many skills that we can have in terms of the soft skills. But when it comes to knowing which ones to apply first and which ones to focus on, here's the framework I use. I first invite people to connect, then to communicate, collaborate, and create, and correct. And I'll go into each one more deeply right now. So the skill to connect. Connect, I refer to connect with ourselves. Like we need to know what are we good at, what are the things that we need to improve. So that's when we build the skill of self-awareness, evaluating ourselves, and also connect with others, which is the ability to build relationships, to build empathy with others. That's how we connect. So before we even think of solving a problem for a customer, developing something, or working with a team, even, we need to first connect with ourselves and connect with the customer. So how? Let me give you some ideas here. So to build self-awareness, it's important to just take a pause and identify what are your strengths. So if you take some time to, for example, write what are the top 10 things that you are good at, either you communicate good, or you're great at writing reports, or you're great at thinking of creative ideas, jot down those things because they will help you to to let others know what are you good at, and also to continue doubling down on those skills, like really cultivating them more, because it's very important to focus on our strengths. Now, when I'm talking about empathy, empathy is basically that you are able to put yourselves, how the way we say it, in the feet of the other person. And that doesn't mean that if the other person is necessarily having a bad time, that you're going to go ahead and really feel that. It's more about understanding how they're feeling. For example, if you have a customer and they're requesting that you solve and develop something for them, you try to understand how are they feeling, what problem are they having that they really need you to create a solution for them. So always it's an exercise to really think through and build that empathy with the customers, with the people in our team. So thinking of building empathy. And lastly, networking. So the connecting with others, it is important that we build relationships. And that's something constant, and that's something that we always need to improve at. So for example, I've seen many of you that may be on LinkedIn. So it's a way to build relationships because you connect with the person, you send a message, or with your colleagues that you have here in class, that you are able, not just that you attend class together, but you reach out after class and talk about things. So those are ways to build relationships and connection with people. I'm going to pause here before I continue and see if there's any comments or questions here before I move on.
Actually, all you said is well understood from my end, and the class is really exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I'll proceed, and then I'll continue because I know there were some questions about the aspect of the promoting your product or promoting our product. So I'm going to go into that. So I talk about the connection part. Very important that we build those skills that help us connect with ourselves and with others. Now we go with focus on communication. Communication is so important because we spend most of our day communicating in so many different ways. And it's very important that we build the skill of listening, public speaking, and writing. There's so many others that are part of communication, but I wanted to focus on this in this group for this reason. So listening. Listening is something that I teach the people I work with, and that I had to learn a lot the hard way too, because sometimes people tell us things and we want to jump into solutions. And I realized that no, I need to take a pause, truly understand what a person is saying, and sometimes repeating back what they're saying to me. So for example, you say something to me and I would say, let me make sure I understand. What you're saying is, and then repeat back what they're saying. And they could clarify and tell me like, no, that's wrong, or help me clarify. And just by doing that small action is very helpful because it saves so much time. Because a lot of the times when we walk out of conversations, one person understands one thing, another person understands another thing. So listening is very important, and repeating back is a technique that we need to use. So let me tell you, as humans, we are terrible at listening because we usually think so many things. We are distracted in our heads. So this is a skill that I will highly recommend any of us to practice. So public speaking, very important too, because not all of us are necessarily great speakers. and including I had to learn a lot because even sometimes I will speak too quickly or speak things very quick, very with a lot of ums and uhs, and I'm still trying to improve in that part. But public speaking is a skill that no matter if you're not going to be in front of customers all the time, it is important that if you build something that you are able to present it to either one person or a small group, even if you don't stand up in big stages. Public speaking, practice it, especially with people that you trust so they can give you feedback. In writing. Right now, with artificial intelligence, it's so easy to just let ChatGPT or Claude or other tools to just write a sentence or a whole paragraph for us. But the important thing here is that writing is a way that helps us process what we're learning. So it's not about writing a nice paragraph for a person. It's about that when we either read something or read a book or try to explain a concept, that we take the time to help our brain absorb what we're learning. And the best way of doing that is writing ourselves either a summary, and even studies say that writing by hand is even better to help us really absorb that. So really practice the writing to help improve your capabilities as well. All right. I know I'm talking about a lot of skills, but just wanted to, there's a lot to cover, and I want to make sure that at least you get a little bit of something for each one. So we connect first, we communicate with people, we listen, we try to practice our public speaking. Collaborate and create covered so many things because collaboration and creation can happen only if we have connected with people first and if we have a clear path, a clear vision of what we're going to do. So here are some of the skills that pertain to collaboration and creation, which is solving problems, developing our creativity. I know a lot of you, was this group here, are probably very creative and good at solving problems. And one thing here that I included is managing time because it is a challenge for all of us. So let me go in deep into each one. So problem finding and problem solving. So for problem finding, it means that sometimes we are quickly going into developing solutions. I do that with a lot of the tech teams that I work with. They really think, I need to create this app or I need to create this, workflow because it's going to solve the problem without really truly understanding what's the problem that they're trying to solve. So I invite you to take a pause, identify before you think about the solution, what's the problem that I'm trying to solve? Is it to announce a product? Is it that I need to create a solution that will help this person do things faster? Understand the problem before you go into creating a great solution for them. Creativity and curiosity, very important because even though by nature some of you may be way creative and curious, it is important to take an effort to practice new activities outside of what we think we normally do, because that increases our creativity as humans. And also asking questions when somebody presents you something, just the aspect of asking questions kind of helps increase that creativity as well and help us see things from a different perspective. So just that practice of asking more questions throughout the day, very important. And let's go into time management because time management is one of the things that you mentioned that were very important to solve. So time management is not easy. It's something that even now I'm still struggling with. But one thing that has helped me is to identify first, what is my priority? What are truly the priorities? Because sometimes things come in and we think that the last thing that came in is the most important thing to solve. Identify what really are your priorities. If it's time with family, it first, and make sure that you will allocate time to spend time with your family. If it's finishing a deadline for something important, then make sure that you allocate the time on the day to solve that problem so it's not last minute. So always try to take charge of your time. And here are just a few techniques that may be helpful to you. These, again, are not applicable to everyone. It's because it depends on what you prefer. So for example, I use the 2-2-2 method, which you could change to 3-3-3 or 1-1-1, and simply that focusing starting my day to your urgent tasks, like if it's answering an email or working on something that I need to answer right away. or something that broke in my house that I need to fix right away. That could be like urgent task. Get to that first. 2 hours on a project, it's something that could be important and you still have time, but instead of waiting for the last minute, spend those 2 hours or 1 hour, depending on what you chose, to work on that project, because then the load will be better to manage later and you don't leave everything at the last minute. And then 2 hours for other tasks like answering emails, working on other projects. So again, this will vary based on your day. You could have one because you have a day job and that's the only time that you have during the day, but be consistent. And that's one way that you can improve it. That Pomodoro technique is another one, which is that, for example, if you're working on something, make sure that in order not to feel too exhausted and that to keep focus. I hate, for example, working on like a thing for too many hours. I feel distracted. I don't do a lot. So what I do is like, I'm going to work for 25 minutes on a task. You work for 25 minutes and I look forward for my 5-minute break where I'm going to go away, take a walk or do something. So just if you prefer to do it that way, that's another possible technique that you can use to manage time. Or time blocking, which is that you know what happens on your week. So you could say, hey, on Monday, I'm going to focus on work for the tech school. And on Tuesday, I'm going to work on this other thing. So those are different ways that you can manage the time and figure out what method is better for you. There are many others, but please abide to a method because things are going to keep happening. And if you don't take control of your time, then it's going to be more difficult later on. I want to pause to see if there's questions on this section. If not,
I have a question in this light. You might have a project, for instance, and you keep promising and drawing like conclusions that you are going to take this time, because I pass through this a lot. And I keep saying that, okay, I'm going to handle it in 2 hours. On Monday, I'm going to do this. But certain moments, I see that I don't even realize the project because I am unable to manage my time so well and focus on my task. So with this, I am really learning a lot. Thank you very much.
okay, great. No, that's great because it's important that, like me, I get distracted and we call procrastinate. I tend to procrastinate and then I think in the short term, no, I'm going to sit 15 minutes to work on this thing. And then more time is spent. I spend more time than 15 minutes and I feel very happy at the end. So yeah, think small, think on small chunks. And because at least if you accomplish something, especially at the beginning of the day, if you have the time, then it's best. All right. So
This I have a question.
yes.
My hand was up. Okay. So I'm asking in a scenario where you put 2 hours to do something and then the 2 hours, when the 2 hours is done, you are not done with the thing. Should you leave the task and go to the next task, or you make sure you finish the task? Do you understand me? You say 2 hours for urgent tasks, 2 hours for a project on a project. Let me say, for example, I'm working on a project and 2 hours passes, I'm not yet done with the project. Should I stop and go to the next task, or should I just continue and finish the project? So what will you advise? What will be the best thing to do in that scenario?
It depends on what works best for you. Like if you think that, hey, the 2 hours have not passed, so you want to continue and you feel good about just, hey, let me just finish the project and you will finish it, even better. So if it takes you and you feel like finishing, I would suggest just finish the whole thing.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Okay, and then if anything, I'll go back to more questions about time management. I want to make sure I address all your questions, and you probably have more now, so I want to make time for that. So then we connected, we communicated, we collaborated and created, and now correcting. And correcting refers to our ability to learn from the mistakes, because mistakes should happen, and we should invite mistakes all the time to happen, because that's the way that we learn. Or also disagreements will happen, and that's completely okay, because if we are working in a group and no disagreements happen, I get suspicious immediately, because a lot of the times it's like people may be angry and they're not telling you. So all these things are going to happen, and this is when we develop the skills to manage those things. So For example, adaptability. Right now, I'm working in places with teams that their teams are changing. Some teams are getting moved around, reorganization. Some teams are getting let go because there's no longer that role and they have to go to a different place to work. So those things happen. So it is important that we understand that change will occur and that we need to be ready for new challenges and reframe our thinking, find a positive on the change. Like, okay, this project did not work out, or working with these people did not work out. Well, other opportunities will come in. I learned from this opportunity here. So try to reframe and find the positive in changes instead of taking the approach of like nothing to change, everything stays the same. That's not good because that's the way to grow and learn. Mentorship, especially now you have this school and you are surrounded not only by your teachers but also by a group of people that are your peers that you can learn a lot from. So if you notice that a peer is good in something, you could ask them questions. Hey, can you help me with this to understand how to do this thing? So take the opportunity that you're surrounded by a lot of people that you can learn from, and always find opportunities for learning and finding mentors, and even online as well. Now, emotion management also a skill, not very difficult, not very easy to master, because we get emotional, we get angry, we get very frustrated. So it's very important to continually build our emotional skills, meaning that using breathing techniques, or if we get angry, try to step away and not react immediately, or also name the fact that, hey, I'm angry, recognize I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and just try to manage that. Take a walk, find a way that works for you, talk to the family. So again, very important to manage our emotions, especially in the professional setting, because when I've worked in settings that people will explode and things would happen, then they will feel really embarrassed at the end coming back. So it's very important to learn how to manage our emotions. And I've had that problem too. And I've learned to manage as well how to deal with my emotions better in a workplace, especially. So managing conflict. Conflict will happen, disagreements will happen, and it's okay as long as those disagreements happen related to the work. So let me explain here. So there's good conflict and there's bad conflict. Good conflict is focused on the problem. We think there's a problem, and then we have different ideas on what's the best solution might be. And we really think like, no, you are wrong because this is the best way to solve the problem. And we could argue in a respectful way about that, hearing each other's perspectives, but that's a good type of conflict because we could come to an agreement, and it's all about making the product or solution better. Now, if it's focused on attacking the person, meaning that, no, you are responsible or you are whatever you want to call that person, those are not the good conflicts, because we want to stay away from that and really focus on the problem itself, not on the person. Also, in a good conflict scenario, people are able to express their ideas respectfully, hear each other. In a bad conflict scenario, one person may dominate the conversation and not discuss. So it's very important that if we are in a team setting, that we are able to say, hey, we disagree. Let's talk it through and see if we can come to a compromise or discussion. But if it starts getting personal and attacking, then it's time to step away. So just things will occur. It's just how we might learn to deal with them effectively that it's what's going to give us to success. All right. Now, some practice to deal with conflict is to step away if we're angry. Also, to address directly if we disagree on something and as we know something's going on, or we see that the other person is not reacting to when we say something, we could say, hey, I see you're angry. Let's talk about it. So address directly may be a good way to do that. And if we need another person to kind of serve as a facilitator, will be good too. Focus on the listening the other person and that empathy as well. And if there's no solution, then we should just learn to move on with the work. All right. So I'm going to see if there's any questions on the conflict part before I move to all the questions that you presented. All right. Let me get to all the questions. I'm very excited about this part, and I want to see, we probably have more. So let me address all of these, and then I'll open it up for more questions for you. All right. So How is soft skills important for the job market? It's important because these are, as I mentioned at the beginning, that these are the skills that will help us in any job. Like even if, let's say, the role, the programming language, or the solution we were working with, that role doesn't exist, we have our soft skills that we can take anywhere to any role. So as you saw, those are the top skills for the future. Technology will change. We'll have to learn new things tomorrow, new tools to use tomorrow. But the soft skills, our ability to think creatively, to collaborate, to resolve conflict, to communicate with others, those are skills that we could take anywhere. All right. Next up, I put the 3 questions here that pertain to the same answer. So how can I be better at soft skills? How can I be very efficient at them? And how can I be outstanding with any soft skills? And those are great questions because there's so many soft skills and we could focus on so many. So I gave you several that you may want to improve upon. But one thing is, in order to improve, is to identify one. Just this week, identify, hey, I want to become better at listening, for example. So you focus on one per week, like listening, and I'm going to try one technique this week. I'm going to try the technique of listening, pausing, and repeating back to the person, just so I improve my listening, repeating back to the person what I'm saying. And just focusing on one technique and one skill per week could take us so much improvement later on, because we could read so many books about how to be better, but the practice is what's going to make it way better for us. Or for example, if you say, I want to improve how to be a better public speaker. So think of like, okay, let me write a speech as if I'm presenting my product to someone and practice it and offer it this week to 3 people. And I'm going to practice it with them and get feedback. So focus on establish your own rhythm, but as long as you're practicing a skill, then that's how you're going to improve in all of them. And I can guarantee you it will be very useful. So don't worry, there's so many, but at least focus on one per week, one per month, and a technique that you need to improve. And that's the way that a deliberate practice is what will make it better. All right, I'm going to move to the next question. One question was, is one obliged to master all programming languages as a software developer? Based on the experience I've had with software developers, no, it's not necessarily to master them all, but it's important to have a method to be willing to learn new languages. Because I work with some developers that were like, hey, I'm good in this. There was a language, a C++ language, and that was not even used anymore. So they had to realize that, no, this is not the language that we're using anymore. So we need to be able to learn a new one. So if you are always adapting to learn new languages and find a way, the same way you learned that language that you had as a developer, and use that same mechanism to learn a new language. So always be open to learn new languages, because different tools use different things. So you don't need to master them all, but you need to create a way to always be willing to try to practice and understand them a little bit better. All right. Let me see. I'm going to go next up to. Another question was, how can we be good in the tech field? So in order to be good in the tech field, one technique that, or just practice that we need to do is to look for feedback. So for example, if we're in a job and we are in a tech role, seek feedback from your manager or seek feedback from your coworker to see how you're doing, to see if they say, hey, you could improve in this technical aspect, or you could improve in this other thing. So the ability to look for feedback is one way that we can become better, but also always be learning. There's so many resources out there that are free that we can use to be learning. So taking time each week, maybe each day if you have it, to learn new things is what definitely will make you better. The best developers that I've worked with were always trying to learn something new and seeking feedback from users, from their bosses, always trying to learn. All right, so how do we increase creativity and thinking skills? So for our creativity and thinking skills is one technique, the brainstorming technique, which is that For example, if you have a problem that you have to solve, like it says, I need to develop a campaign or I need to develop a solution for this customer. One way to practice our creativity is just to sit down with a watch for 5 minutes and just start coming up with multiple ideas. No judgment. Just come up with a bunch of ideas, and you could do this with somebody else. And once you have, think about quantity, not quality. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, you look at them and you can see how you can start combining those ideas together. Because sometimes we exclude ourselves in our brains. We think of an idea and then we think like, nah, it's not going to work. But it's the only way that we could know if something is going to work, if we're just like, hey, let me just throw the craziest ideas out there. And perhaps that's a good way to learn to create something useful. So creativity can be increased through doing that. Excuse me. Okay. All right. Many questions here, and two of them were related. So I'll read them. How can we improve our communication and confidence when presenting our projects to other people? And a related question was, how can beginners overcome fear of self-doubt when learning programming and presenting their work publicly? So communication or presenting, it's never easy. Even I work with speakers. I'm part of the group of public speakers, and they all get nervous all the time. And that's a good thing because that shows that they care. So the important thing that they say is that I forget about myself. I think about the value that I'm giving the others. So for example, I think like I have something important to share. I worked on something and this is a solution that is going to help them. Once you think of the value of what you're going to give them, instead of them thinking like, oh, am I going to be too nervous? What are they going to be thinking of me? They're probably not even thinking of you. They're thinking about how your solution is going to help them. So focus on the value, focus on on your message, forget about your own self. And that's the best way to practice your publicly your message to people. Again, always practice, but that's a good way, a key mindset change that we need to have as we continue presenting products to people. Next up, what soft skills are most important for someone who wants to succeed in software development? And what are the best skills in tech? So there's so many, but I'm going to talk about 3, which is communicating in a simple language, meaning that a lot of the times I work with people and developers that when they speak to me, if I'm not technical, I'm like, I'm not sure what they're talking about, and they go into detail. So communicating in simple language is a good practice to have. How you communicate with your non-techie people. Also, problem finding and problem solving, identifying what's a problem that we need to solve, and then the skill of solving that problem is very important. And learning, especially in the tech field, because it changes so quickly. Our ability to learn constantly and finding a good way is always very important. So those are the top 3 skills that I would say that are very important in the software development field. All right, next up. How do you measure improvement in something like communication or adaptability, since it's not as straightforward as tracking sales, number, or code commits? Great question, because as I mentioned at the beginning, the soft skills cannot be easily measured. They're not something that you can, if I'm speaking French, if I'm terrible at French, which I probably will be. So if that's a way to measure that. But when it comes to soft skills, you think about the outcome. For example, you could be a good communicator if the people understood your message, if they were able to say like, hey, that was a good speech. Or if you're good at listening, people will let you know that. People will let you know like, okay, you understood my problem, you were listening, so that's the outcome of the situation. There's no measure there, but at least the interaction was positive. So it is measured by the good results. If you are getting good at creative thinking and you came up with a solution that worked for the people that you were working with, creativity, it's nothing that we can measure like, yes, in the scale of creativity, you're excellent. It depends on the situation. It depends. If you have a good outcome, then that shows that you are getting improving in those skills. So there's not going to be any way to measure and say you've reached 100%, but at least if you have a good outcome in each situation, that shows that you are getting better. So as someone who doesn't like talking too much, how do I interact with people? Myself, I've grew up being very shy and growing up to be like, I will get uncomfortable sharing stuff about myself. So what I would do is, instead being the person like the interviewer, and that's how I became a reporter back in the day. I was very shy. So I would say like, I'm going to be the one asking questions. So asking questions is a way to interact. People like to talk about themselves. So if you don't love to interact, ask them questions and they could tell you great stories. That's the way that worked for me. And a way to make it easier for that interaction. Because when I come to a group of people and me telling stories, I've always have a big problem with that, or get self-conscious and improve a long time. All right, then how to work with others without creating drama. How do professional developers handle teamwork and disagreements during projects? So very important, there's going to be drama in some places, but if you try to stay away from the difficult situations, taking sides between people and like, hey, this person did this to me, stay away from the drama and try to focus on the work. But also, if there are issues like someone was disrespectful to you, or even if you were not a nice to a person, try to address it directly. Don't wait, address it immediately, but don't try to gossip and take sides if drama is going on. Stay away from that, focus on the work, but also be direct when issues happen. And if other people have a problem with you, you could address, hey, you seem to be an issue. How can we address it? How can we solve it so we can work together in a more effective way? All right. How do you handle misunderstanding or miscommunication at work? All right. So if something is not clear, if there's miscommunication, and that happens a lot, I found that a lot of times people will just stay with the doubt and not ask the question. I'm like, no. Ask the question, or if something was not clear, make sure that you clarify. Address it immediately. So if there's a misunderstanding about the outcome of a project, make sure to go to the source and ask the question. So clarify as soon as possible, but not focusing on like, well, you told me this, or don't focus on the blame, focusing on the issue at hand, because we're always going to have different perspectives, and focusing on how did this originated, it's not going to be productive for anybody. Right. How can I improve my communication and teamwork skills so I can work confidently with clients, companies, and other developers while still being technically strong? Definitely practicing the listening part. So it's the communication. A lot of it is to just be a better listener with clients, to listening to them to understand their problems, with the companies, with other developers as well, listening to understand their concerns, and be open for feedback from the clients, for feedback from the companies that you're working with, if they're happy, or what do they like about your work, what do they not like about your work, and with other developers as well. That's the only way that that you are able to get technically strong, because with every piece of feedback that you get, you apply it, you identify what can I do to make this better, and that's just going to make you better. But a lot of the times, the people that don't listen to feedback are the ones that stay on the same, and they don't learn, they just stay the same way. So if you are a person who seeks feedback and is constantly learning, you're definitely going to become even technically more stronger than ever. All right. How can I efficiently acquire and practically apply the skill of time management for a successful life? So I talk about some solutions there, but the first thing that you need to do is to identify what's important to you. What's your priority? For example, for me, it's spending time with the family, although I know that I have a lot of work to do. So I divide my time and say like, okay, during this time, I'm going to be focusing on the work things. And at this time, it's time for my family, no matter what. And I stick to that, and just making sure that in order you identify what does a successful life mean to you. You want to be with your loved ones, and you want to allocate, okay, I want to spend time with my loved ones, but at the same time, I want to do the work. let me divide my day in a way that will make it all happen. It's not gonna be easy, and sometimes you have to adjust here and there, but knowing your priorities is just gonna help you to succeed a little more into the identifying priorities, and also setting boundaries, because other people will try to add more work to you or tell you, help me with this now. You need to learn to say, no, I cannot do this right now, or I could help you another time. Set your priorities so others don't define those priorities for you. How can students build strong professional connections and grow their LinkedIn network effectively? So what I do with LinkedIn, I look for people that are either on my field or for companies that I am interested in, and I connect with those people. And when I connect, or even before I connect, I send a message. Hey, I love to connect with you because I like the work that you do, and send a message. And sometimes the people may reply back, other times they may not, but that's the way to start connecting. And also commenting on their statuses. So if they post something, try to instead just reacting, engage and say, and either ask a question or pose a comment. People like when, and a lot of people do that, is to comment on posts. So then they notice you as well. So that's a good way to build your LinkedIn network, commenting and really engaging with people instead of just being there liking things. And one more thing, sharing knowledge there, because in LinkedIn, you also want to share what you working with, or things that you have learned. That's a good way for people to know, hey, this person is an expert on this, or they're looking to learn and they want to collaborate too. All right. Besides technical skills, what soft skills should we start developing now to prepare for internships and future tech careers? So building relationships like in LinkedIn or others in organizations that you know you want to work with locally. If there are groups that are either, for example, here we have groups of like associations for technical fields, like women in engineering or product groups like that, engage with those groups, because those are great ways to meet with people and know which organizations exist. And sometimes they look for people to give them internships or jobs, and you just go ahead and reach out and ask them. So finding mentors too, either via LinkedIn or locally with associations. So always also look for challenging work, especially as you're starting. If you're doing internships, be saying yes to the opportunities. Like, I don't know how to do it, but I want to learn, so yes. So try to be positive and find opportunities to network in associations of other people. And if they don't have internships, just ask them, hey, do you have an intern? If not, I want to be your first intern. So being able to reach out and mention those things. That's how I had a coworker who started interning at NASA, the aerospace organization, because he said, hey, from somebody from that organization, hey, are you looking for interns? No? Well, let me be your first one. And that's how he started. How do you work under pressure? So under pressure, of course, it's not easy, but you just need to think you can only focus on what you can control. If you're under pressure that you have a deadline of 2 hours to create a solution, it's like, okay, I can only focus on what I know, so let me give a solution within 2 hours, and knowing that you did your best. So forget about the pressure or the stress of like, what if it doesn't work out? Just think like, okay, I'm human, I have all this knowledge, let me apply it, and just try to focus on what you can control when it comes to working under pressure. Okay. And do soft skills create room for laziness, or does it just ease workload for us and make us think even better? That was a great question, because it is a matter of when we work, being busy does not always equal being productive. Like, we could be busy doing a lot of things that are not necessarily useless and don't move us a lot farther. So the purpose of knowing how to prioritize, how to communicate, they hopefully will save us time, but also help us think at the higher level as managers. When we think of the soft skills, we think like, oh, these are the skills that managers have. But these are the skills. My message is that everybody, all of us, needs to have these skills, even if we're not managers, because they will help us work smarter. And then they will help us work in the things that we want to work on, or solve more even complex problems, and not stay at the simple things. It will help us working. There's always going to be more complex problems to resolve, especially now with the up the technology. So learning these skills will help us move on to the next level faster. All right. These were all the questions that I received, but I want to pause for see if there's more questions from the group.
Yes, I have a question. It's on the point of listening. I grew up in a milieu where I noticed that my uncle is very difficult, even when I am listening without talking. So I was caught at the point where am I really listening to understand or listening to respond? Because at times I respond, it is like war. At times I sit quiet, it is still like war. So I don't get it at this point. So what am I supposed to do at this point?
Now, when you say your uncle is difficult, I guess you could try the technique of making sure that he knows he's being heard by repeating back to what he's saying. So perhaps if he's saying something and you could repeat back to say, like, let me make sure I understand. So what you're saying is, and repeat back what he said, to see if that helps with that part. Because if he's being difficult because he's trying to make a point and perhaps he may feel like he's not being listened to, but if he at least understands that, hey, you're not trying to, we're not in opposing, you're on opposing teams here, and that perhaps he thinks that there's always a clash, perhaps, I don't know, but I think repeating back could be helpful. Is that usually when you say it's difficult, is because he's trying to defend a specific point of view and he's always kind of opposed to the other person? Yeah. Okay. If that's the case, yeah, that could be listening to repeating back to the person. Let me hear back what you're saying. And sometimes when you say back to the person, they kind of take a step back and say like, oh yeah, or clarify more. But just the action of making sure that they understand that it's that you are being empathetic and try to listen to them could help them kind of be more at ease. Try it out and let me know how it goes. What other questions do you have?
Miss Yadira, I have something, but I don't know how to put it. You know how now the attention span is very short? So sometimes when you post something or you send something, you tend to not get whoever is going to look at it, read the whole thing. So they might say that they've read it, but they haven't actually read it. So then you have them asking you a question that's based on what you just posted. So in that case, do you just reference and say, well, I posted it there or I sent it there. Would you mind going back and looking at that? Or do you think there's a way of how posting should work? Because I think in this century now, the attention span is getting even shorter than before. So do you think just a really short, clear, straightforward post than a very long one, do you think should start funny? Do you think should start like weird, cool? Like, what would you say? Because that's an issue, I think, for any person in a professional field to get your idea across and to just be able to communicate and get people to actually respond. Because I had a student, I think you remember her, she's called Joy. She was asking that she posted things, and in the beginning, she got some responses and engagement. But then all of a sudden, when she posted, she just got, regular responses, but not like responses based on her post, like dummy responses. So that's kind of my question.
Yeah, so that's great because per your question of people, you create a post and could be long and it seems that people are not reading and they're asking you the same question and you're like, I just wrote about it right here. So it happens all the time, and not just with the attention span today. That's why in marketing, for example, when you have they present a message multiple times, because reading something once, it doesn't really compute in our brains and we forget. And it was like we scan through communications instead of like really reading. So in a nice way, instead of saying like, I just posted that there, didn't you read it? Could sound a little bit rude. You could respond. It's okay to just respond to the question again and just say like, oh yeah, per your questions, answer the question again and say, hey, do you want to leave more details? They're over here, but kind of be nice about it, even if you think like it's already written there. Didn't you read? Probably a lot of us didn't read. So that's one way. So another thing that when the post on LinkedIn, for example, could be quite long, but what I've been seeing is that they kind of space them out into, because sometimes we like to read like bullet lists. Like if I read a 2-paragraph email, I may not read it. I'm scanning. Instead of reading sentence by sentence, I'm more like scanning. So perhaps using bullet points, short sentences, even that's why people use emojis to kind of highlight some things. Even then, they may not read it all, but at least you can highlight the best points through using like bullet points or being quick with that. When it comes to engagement, it varies because a lot of the times I may post something and I don't get the feedback. I'm like, oh, nobody read it? Okay. But I just focus on continuing giving value and being consistent because we think that one post may be good, another post may be read by no one, or perhaps you think they didn't read it, but they just didn't comment it. Some people would say like, yeah, I follow your post. I'm like, I have no idea that you did because you never commented it, you never read it. So just be consistent without really thinking about the reaction of people. Sometimes they may comment very generic or get like AI to do the commenting. So always focus instead of giving value and sharing your knowledge. I know, hey, maybe somebody out there could benefit. And if you're consistent, some posts may do better, others may not, but don't get discouraged because you're sharing your knowledge. Some person that you don't know, it's always reading. And the best way is just continue posting, but also engaging with other people too, with their content and commenting and being that person, being that commenter that you wish you will see on people. Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. That answered the question. I also wanted to touch on consistency. You mentioned consistency. It's very important. So I think most of the time you struggle to be consistent. You fall, I think many people have mentioned, you fall through challenges, you're not able to do the work, you feel like you're going to slack. It's just really hard to be consistent and motivated at the same time. So to maintain and to achieve consistency throughout in your job, in your work ethic, which is I think what companies are looking for. Do you always have to have that motivator, something that you're looking for to at the end, something to keep you motivated in the back of your mind, therefore gives you consistency?
That is a good, yes. Having that motivation is, we're not always going to feel motivated to do something. Like it's just nature. Like I feel like posting today, or I feel like I don't feel like working today. I don't want to do it today, but just thinking that, hey, it is important. This product is going to give value to somebody, or somebody will get benefited from that. As you say, that having that motivation in the background, thinking like the goal is to give them something amazing, or the goal is to educate somebody. Even if you don't feel like it, at least you'll do something, even something little that day, to keep moving each day towards finishing that product or finishing that thing. So think about what's my biggest goal. This will help someone, or this will help educate someone. So even if you do like, but I don't feel like working today. Okay, 15 minutes. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'll take a pause. Take it small, and that will help you keep motivated.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hello, Miss Yadira. Thank you very much for this session. I think there's a question in the chat. Please, can you go through it?
Let me see the chat. Oh, there we go.
By Ganya Precious. Yeah.
Okay. So question, there are some tools or some things we can do to be very good at problem solving, like to be very smart, to see things with a wider view and not limited to a particular area. So there are tools, and I wish, let me see if I have some that I could send you, Ms. Alicia, for that, because there are, and I'm not talking about, for example, you could use AI for that, of course, and ask questions and prompts about asking, one technique is asking the 5 whys. So the 5 whys meaning, like, for example, a user came with you with a problem like, why can they not access the network? And you answer the question, well, they cannot access the network because they have bad connectivity. Oh, and then you ask the why. Why do they have bad connectivity? And then you keep asking the same question. The 5 whys is a good technique to kind of keep getting to the root of the problem. So that's something that you can use even without AI, just thinking about a tool that we use to solve problems. So another tool for problem solving could be, if it's related to a user, again, it could do a kind of a diagram of identifying what's the main issue and all the sub problems that may relate for them for their, I'm trying to think if there's a fishbone diagram. I'll think of some, but at least the 5 whys is one of the techniques that I've been using in terms of to get into the root of the problem, because problem solving is all about finding the real cause of something. It's not thinking like somebody gave you a problem and you need to run and solve that problem. It's about understanding, is this the real problem? Or how can I get to the real bottom of this? So perhaps the user not being able to access a solution was not a problem with your app. It was something completely different. So problem solving is all about really understanding the why. So any tool that you can use to really understand the true cause will help you with that. Hope that answered the question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Please, I also have a question. How can you manage pressure? Like you see on LinkedIn, you're trying to grow your page and you post your work, and anytime you go, you see people posting new things. I just did this, I just did that. Like you see new posts coming and you're feeling that pressure. You're feeling like, should I slack? Should I choose what that person is doing? Or maybe I can be doing software and I just see people posting things on data. So I'm like, hey, am I lacking something? So how can you stay true to yourself with a lot of pressure coming from LinkedIn and so many things? I think some people are facing that same issue.
Yes, and it's a great question because it's not easy, because we see so much and we compare ourselves to others all the time. And what something I've learned even from the big creators, the people that have big names, they say, don't compete with others, compete with yourself. You don't know that in the background, that person that was posting all these interesting things, they have like a whole team that they pay a bunch of money for to keep that post that looks like, oh, they did it on their own. Like, no, they probably paying a lot of money for that. So always focus on yourself, on your journey. Think about from yesterday, think at the end of the day, how much you've improved from yesterday to today, and what things you achieve is your own path. And it's not easy. And I do it myself because I compare, like, why did this person has thousands of followers? So it's always focusing like, hey, I improved on this yesterday. I learned something new. What's my alternative? Doing nothing? No, I need to do something, because if doing nothing, I'm going to be in the same place. So always focus, even if it's small steps, focusing on your own journey. You post something at your pace. You may get 2 comments, but then maybe not at all, but that's okay. You focus on continuing learning and continue improving yourself, because think about the alternative. The alternative being doing nothing and staying in the same place where you were. So for some of us, maybe very slow, and for some people will be very, like, it seems like they just won the lottery or something. So it all depends. But just think of your own journey and think the alternative, which is do nothing and stay in the same place. And we don't want to do that. We want to continue learning and grow.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I think Ben asked the question, Ms. Yadira, and he said, how do I clearly differentiate between being busy and being productive at the end of the day in respect to time management, Madam?
So yeah, being busy, think about, that's the part of thinking about what are your priorities for the day. I was talking to an author, David Allen, that I interviewed, and he said, like, I could be productive, but productivity for me doesn't mean like I've achieved, like I solved 100 bugs or whatever. Or that's productivity for me, being that I was able to spend time with my family while also finishing this little project here. So you define what is important for you. And if based on that, you think at the end of the day, did I focus on what was important for me at the end of the day? Did I do the top 2 things that I wanted to do today? Then it was a productive day, because you could be busy doing stuff that really doesn't matter, that you spend a lot of time on something that it's not even your priority. That's being busy. Being busy means that you could be typing a lot of messages to people. You kept busy all day answering emails, but did that move you closer to the goal that you want or the type of day that you wanted to have? If not, then no, that's being busy. Being productive means like, what's my 2 priorities at the beginning of the day? Even if they take you a little time, but if at the end of the day you were able to accomplish them, then you are being productive. So focus more on being productive, working towards your goals, instead of being busy, which is, we could spend hours and hours answering emails, But did that really matter? If not, then we need to focus on what's our priorities and focus on those things, even if they didn't take us like many, many hours of the day. Okay. Okay, awesome. Any other questions? Oh, yes, go ahead.
I
Sheila.
have one last question. This is coming from a software development team that I was part of, and we had our leader had an accident, so someone had to step in and take responsibility since everybody was shying away from responsibility. So I decided that if we have to move, somebody has to grab the bull by the horn. So when I stepped in and brought a solution on how we were supposed to move forward, I discovered there was one of my team members who was not really uh, happy with the fact that I stepped on. So every time I brought a point up, he will always disagree with me in a very nerving manner. And I noticed this makes me very angry. Now, how do I get along with such a person?
Yeah, great question, and great for being able to step in and kind of take on the work. If nobody, it's easy to just step back, like somebody else takes it, but taking the responsibility is very important and very admirable. So there's always going to be people unhappy with the work. And I also had this similar experience too when I was stepping into a position and the other person wanted that position apparently, but then there will always be like angry towards me or responding or being like, oh, you trying to reduce my credibility as well. So the best way is to have a conversation with a person one-on-one. And I'm not saying that's necessarily going to solve the problem. Is to say, hey, it seems that during meetings, you seem to disagree. I want to hear what you have to say. What are your concerns? And they could even try in the conversation to discredit you or say you're not ready or I could do it this way. And it's like, okay, well, great to hear your feedback. But now we have to work together to solve problems. If you have new ideas, instead of criticizing ideas, I will be happy to hear what you have to say, what other solutions you want to come up with. But at the end, I'm the lead and I'm going to implement what I think is best for the team. So always be respectful. Having a conversation one-on-one will help with that. Assuming that it could end well, it may not go well, but that's okay. At least they know that you can be upfront with them and they may take a step back or they may double down and say like, I'll try to discredit you. But at least you did your part of addressing the issue directly with the person. Say, I'm open to hear your feedback. Let's try to solve problems instead of a personal attack. So address directly and integrate their feedback, but knowing that he may not get along with you ever, because for whatever reason. But it could be resulting. But just focus on the mission for the team. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I think if there's
yeah, I don't have any question. I wanted to say thank you for the session. It was very interesting as usual. And Keela, yes, Keela, I think I have the presentation. I'll send it again. So thank you so much for taking your time, Miss Yadira. It's not something everybody will do, what you just did. I think you yourself just gave an example of how soft skills actually play in reality, willing to take that extra mile to give knowledge to other people that are actually going to implement what you said and doing it for free as well. So I really, really appreciate it on behalf of Nazli Tech School. We really appreciate you always wanting to help us come and volunteer and do these very important presentations. And I think everyone has benefited a lot. There have been very good questions. I think every session there's some very good questions.
Yeah.
You probably should make a second book, Miss Yadira, volume 2.
Yeah, no, we should. Absolutely. With all the questions. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. I want to take I don't know if it's possible to get everybody, but I want to take a screenshot photo. I don't know how many people can we put in a single screen.
Yeah, I think I see everybody, maybe a total of 10, 12, no, not 10, maybe 9. Yeah, a few, but we can take it.
Yeah, let's see. Let me see. Actually, let me see if I can do it from, because I try to do it with my,
yeah,
Want to do it with my phone here as well because it might be easier. All
Sure.
right. One. Oh, put your cameras on. Put your cameras on. One,
Yeah.
two, three.
Cheese
Cheese. All right.
from Morocco.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you all so much. This has been great.
Thank
Anything,
you
and
so
reach out to me
much.
on LinkedIn. So I'll
Yeah.
be happy to connect with you.
Thank you so much, Miss Yadira. I'll be in touch with you again. Thank you very much. Have a great day. I think it's different time zone.
Still
Thank
late.
you.
Have a good evening. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you. All right, guys, it was a great session. And again, great questions from everybody. I think your questions are very, very good. And I did put in the chat that saying the 5 whys she mentioned actually is something that will be very important for what we're going to see very briefly right now. I think it was 5 whys she said, right? 5 whys. And she said you would go back and ask a question and then it's like an onion. You go back in questions. I'm going to start sharing my screen so we can, I know it's 2 hours, it's not easy, so I'll just start sharing my screen. We can get straight to the point, and then if we finish early, we can even, leave early as well if there's no questions. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Can you all see my screen? Yeah, great. Okay, so I think, please keep your cameras turned on. Thank you very much for letting me know you can see my screen. So congratulations to everyone who's reached this stage. Let me go back to this document. And again, you really need to say thank you to Ms. Kumo and Mr. Kila because they have been our collaborators. If not, we wouldn't have brought this to you anyways. So they've made it possible from their end. And if you have any questions about what comes next, you can go and ask them. I'm going to speak a little bit about it. However, there is responsibility from your part. So we can't keep following everyone and, reminding you, you're all adults. You just heard from Miss Yadira of how to, take up responsibility, which everyone's doing quite well. So I did make things clear with our academic team just on what you're expected to submit, which is what all our students submit whenever we do any collaboration or any sort of like task or anything like that, like what we're doing now. So we are going to offer certificate of completion officially from Nazli Tech School in collaboration with Tech Fusion Solution. We will offer a letter of a good letter of, what am I saying? Official letter of good standing. We will offer, of course, the award for the best student. We will also send the report card. All this information and all these things will be with Miss Kumo and Mr. Kila on your graduation day. And of course, we will also offer internship roles to the best high achieving student who has an average that's high and who has been doing more than necessary extra work. But before we talk about that, we have to clarify that you actually understand what you need to submit. So the first thing that I did mention, right? Let me actually shift this to the side if I can do that so you can all see. This is the same requirements that we sent, but what I'm coming here to do right now is just to explain to you how to do some of these things, because I'm sure you have questions about the portfolio, even though you might have an idea, you have questions about the trailer, you have questions about the software development lifecycle, about sharing your story on Replit. There's just so much that you need to do. So we'll run through them, and if you have any questions at the end, you can ask me. First of all, please make sure that you have done all your quizzes. Okay, at this stage, this should have been done. So I did send, or we did post a poll there. I'm seeing some people haven't done the poll. Some people are still saying no. Please, we don't want to see any no's. At this point, there shouldn't be a no for this one. So if there's a no for you, I'm not really sure why there's a no for you. But if there is a no for you, then this is already going to be costing you in your final grading. So you need to sort this out. And the only way you can sort it out right now is if you've actually done the quiz on Google Forms and maybe you forgot to hand it in. That's something we go back and we check in time of submission. So make sure this is done. The other thing that you need to make sure of is your social media learning reflection. So you've seen and you've heard from Ms. Yadira and some of you guys, LinkedIn is a very important platform. It's like Quora. I'm coming to that as well. Many people don't know about it, but if you want to build your LinkedIn profile or you want to bring yourself out there in a digital space, I will definitely not advise you to go on Facebook, not Instagram. LinkedIn is your go-to. If you search online, even the stats say that. I mean, you might be saying that on LinkedIn, people don't respond to you or don't comment. It's just the consistency, just like she said, pushing yourself to do it all the time, pushing yourself to try to post once a week, and try to post something that comes from you naturally and has never been done before. So you have AI tools, right? You have Gemini, you have all these tools. You can use them as an assistant to give you ideas based on what you have. You have to be a very good person who articulates your thoughts. If you know how to like articulate what you're thinking, or just like type out what you're saying, or even use audio with Gemini, because audio works, and just say it and then let Gemini give you those ideas, and then plus what you already have in mind, then you can grow your LinkedIn network. And you have to change the way your LinkedIn network looks like. I think everybody has a generic LinkedIn network looking kind of profile. There's always a banner, which is like sometimes random, has nothing to do with you. So you kind of need to change your LinkedIn. Like when someone comes into your LinkedIn profile, it should look different somehow. Then they've never seen that kind of a profile. So there are many kind of creative things. I'm not going to go into that. I think everybody knows what to do or how to get creative. But lessons 1 to 5, including 6, which is this session with Ms. Yadira, you need to send a learning reflection on your LinkedIn. That's one way. Why we've been saying that is way to grow your profile itself. And you need to tag Nazli Tech School, of course, and tag Tech Fusions, because our network is big and we have people who read these things and see what you're doing. And if your profile stands out, who knows, maybe you can be offered a job, maybe you can be offered an internship, who knows. But you need to put yourself out there, because there's so many millions of people looking for jobs. If you look on LinkedIn alone, and it's just really difficult to find. Even free jobs, free internships is very hard to find. So you can search that up all you want. So if you don't have this completed, then that's already a problem for you. You need to start working on doing this. And when I say do it, you're going to upload a screenshot. You're going to show evidence. So don't just say I did it and you didn't do it, because you will be asked to present that. The next one is the checklist. So we are making a checklist that's easy for you to say, okay, done, 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 right? And then you have to upload evidence, supporting evidence, which is screenshots. That will be sent to you on June 12th. The link will be sent for everyone to complete. And that, of course, if you have any questions on that, you can go back to Ms. Kumo, Ms. Akila, and ask those questions. But then it's just a checklist. I don't think there's anything they can explain to you further. It's something you have to read properly, understand, and fill out and upload information. So I'm gonna, comment, put this here. Okay, so the portfolio. Now let's get into business. Portfolios are very important. Some of you already know what portfolios are. Now you can build your portfolio on any site. Just make sure that this site is accessible without any problems. The most famous ones that our students do portfolios on are usually Google sites and Blogger, because that's free, and and sometimes Lovable as well, because some student recently did a really good portfolio that I'm going to show you on Lovable. So I mean, you definitely need a portfolio. And the thing is, what do you put in your portfolio? Well, first of all, you need to put information about you and what you do, and I'm going to show you that yourself. And it should be something different. It shouldn't be, hello, my name is. That's very generic again. You have to start off differently. The title should be different, should be professional. The way you kind of present yourself is the way people see you, okay? So that's really important. Your portfolio, most importantly for submission, must have your MBOA Flix app development timeline. I'm going to explain to you what that means. Like, how do you do that? How do you make that happen? It's actually on your Replits. So we're going to go and see that in a few minutes. But before we go and see that, it's important. I'm going to share you this document. And by the way, I was saying I was going to explain it today. This is just the date for today, not to submit it. But this is like where it says that you can use this prompt. This is a prompt that I have put in on Replit, and I feel that it gives a very good portfolio outline. You're supposed to show exactly how you created MBOA Flix. It's basically your creation. How did you create it? The steps, the development timeline. There's so many ways you can do that. I'm going to show you so many different type of ways, but Replit does a brilliant job on that. So before we go into Replit, let's have a look at some portfolio examples. This is from Babatunde. He's one of our students that finished content creation. You see how professional his portfolio already starts to look like. And you go on to his About Us page. You just put basic things here. Now, when you go onto his project page, you can see the work that he's done, right? The content that he's created, and more and more of that. So there are different type of students and different type of ways. That it really depends on how you want others to see your work. So this is one example. There is another example. This one is from John Ido, who basically did a portfolio on Lovable, And again, a content creator he's a mechanical engineer, and he's learned how to create content. And based on that, he created portfolio showcasing his project. So you'll be very surprised to see that someone who had no knowledge of creating content all of a sudden is now creating content. And all these students even have, YouTube channels. They've actually posted their work on YouTube. It's just so high end. And again, look at how his portfolio looks like. When you look at somebody's portfolio yourself, what do you expect to see and how do you feel when you look at a portfolio? This is really how you can represent yourself. So this is his portfolio. I'm not going to go through all stuff, go through all his things, but this is just some example. So there's also one more example. This student is from Rwanda. This is Dushime. Dushime also completed his content creation course with us about a while ago, right? When we had the whole Africa AI content creation visual alchemy. And again, he has represented himself differently with his work, what he's done. You can even play some of his things and you can see how
the future isn't something we wait for.
I'm not going to play everything, but you get the idea. So the idea is really how you represent yourself. And when you go into, he's made it such that he's put in things about him, even though he has other portfolios online, but he's really taken the time to show his journey throughout the course, what he's learned, and just really built it in a very nice way. So again, like I've said, there's just the different ways how you can create a portfolio, different ways. So now let's get back to the one on Google Sites, shall we? So on Google Sites, I don't think I should go through this, but when you come into Google Sites, if you're going to use this as a portfolio gig, something like that, your portfolio, what is it exactly supposed to show? Now, what you're seeing on my screen right now is something that I just generated as a sample from Replit. You see why I told you that Replit actually is a very good tool when it comes to doing portfolio and presentations and documents and all that thing. It just takes it to another level that most people don't know about. So if you look at just a sample, you see how I just did mine, very brief, about me, stuff like that, starts funny, just like, what Mr. Yadira was suggesting, starts with emojis. Just try to keep things short and clear. Imagine somebody reading your portfolio is both professional and both technical or non-technical. Now, the thing is, how did I get something, a document like this? Now, the original document, and I just put this out here, by the way, you have to take your time to arrange things, obviously. You shouldn't just slap things in your portfolio. I just put that there because I wanted to show you real quick. Now, the original document is this. This is what Replit generated. And this is all based on the MBOA Flix, and it's like 50%, I would say 60% from mine I'm talking about, complete. Right? And look at already the information that's being generated. And with exactly the assets that you've used, with technical terms, with the coding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to generate this, what you will do, now let's get really quickly to your MBOA Flix. So if you are in your MBOA Flix app on Replit, just use your agent. That's why you have a free agent every day. Make use of your agents. And what you will do in your agent is put this prompt. So I'm just going to show you the prompt because I already typed it in and put it for you there. The prompt to make your portfolio is this one right here. Just take it to your agent and then just paste it in there. And you can make some changes. Okay, send it to the agent, make some changes, make sure you're on your MBOA Flix app, and your agent's going to work. And at the end, it's going to give you your PDF document. You'll see it by the side here on this side, or you'll see it here on this side. So any one you want, and then once you're done, you just download it. Once it's done, you got to read it first, and you can ask it to make some changes. Fix this, put this code here, explain this part. Just make sure that you show all the functionalities of MBOA Flix in your portfolio. The user sign up, the login, the going into the login, the page that they can access, looking at how they show statistics, et cetera, et cetera. So all that stuff, make sure you have it in your portfolio because that's exactly what you're expected to put in your final portfolio. Okay, so we're talking about portfolios, final portfolio. Okay, so going back to portfolio, this is really just a prompt. So you just have to use Replit to do it. And once you get it on Replit, you just download it as a PDF. And then you come back to any site and you can just extract the pictures, type the text, however, but you have that flow, you have that structure. like this, of what you need to put in there, because it's an AI, it's giving you suggestions of what you should have. For anybody who's not even into coding can understand what you've done. Okay, so that's for portfolio. So now I'll move back into trailer. This is one of my most exciting ones I'm looking forward to seeing. Trailer is like what she says, the 5 whys. This is why I said 5 whys. If you're going to do a trailer to pitch MBOA Flix, and this is what most software engineer, look at all the software schools, all where you learn how to code. Nobody will tell you this. They would all tell you to be a software, you have to learn how to code, you have to know how to code, you have to do this and that. But nobody would tell you, how do you pitch your idea? Even if you create the best code in the world and you don't know how to pitch your idea to people, to communicate, to tell them what you've done, you really will not go anywhere. So making a promotional video trailer, and I think this is something I saw Indy Desmond do. Okay, Indy Desmond, your classmate, he's probably here. He did like a really short clip, but that was making sense because he put a clip and he was trying to like get that excitement going, and 2 people sitting down, Cameroonian themed. So it's from Cameroon to the world, right? MBOA Flix, when you think about it, if you're sitting down to yourself, your promotional trailer should be, well, why should people come and try MBOA Flix app? Okay, it's Cameroonian, it's about Togo, it's about Ndole, it's about whatever it is about. Why should I come and watch and use MBOA Flix? Like, why? So you have to ask that question to yourself. When you get the answer, and if you don't know the answer, search online. What do people know about Cameroon online? Like, just go on Google search. That's why they have new features. You have to go on Google search and use the new features, AI mode. Ask them or ask Google and say, what is the latest, what are the top questions that people ask about Cameroon? Try to find out and try to relate that back to your app trailer, and that's how you're going to build your app trailer. But there's more work to it. This is content creation. So how do you actually get that done? So I'm going to skip from here and really go down, and I'll show you an example of a trailer. But before I do that, go down here. So I'll share with you this document. Don't forget. Now, if you want to get yourself a good trailer, a very accurate trailer, where you don't show fake images, okay, you have to combine AI with reality. People are tired of AI, so reality. How does your actual app look like? So what you'll do is, the only way you can put your actual app is by going back again to Replit, because that's where you developed your app, right? So again, this is a sample prompt. What you have to do is copy this prompt, go back to your Replit. Okay, so for me, for example, it's finished doing that. By the way, let me show you. Just finished doing the, what do you call this? The MBOA Flix, the second part. Meanwhile, it would probably do the same thing that I just showed you now, but I want to download it and show you, like, I'm talking back now on the portfolio because I'm just showing you the results. So I'm downloading it now on the second one, which is this one. You can see number 1. And it's done for me. You see, it's just basically made for me you see how it changed? Did the same thing, you see? Every single time it's doing something. Do you see this? See how this one even looks nicer? This one looks so professional. Look at that. You see, isn't it so nice? I mean, when you put this for people, don't you think they would appreciate you as a software developer? That's why I'm saying that you should use the tools that you have. If you don't know how to use them, you have to go and learn. So you have to explore. And if people give you free things to do, then use it to the best. And don't wait for someone to tell you to go and check this or that. Do it yourself. So this is what I'm saying, that prompt that I told you. Second prompt, I'm going to move on from here, is the one for your scenario. So if you want to be a very good content creator, you have to be a good storyteller. It's not just a myth, it's actually true. If you know how to tell stories and you know how to make people feel emotion, even if MBOA Flix is MBOA Flix, like what kind of emotion? Well, Cameroon, the spirit of Cameroon. You want other people to feel, to understand, to connect, to relate, right? So how do you create a content? First, you have to have a template. So this is why I said come back to Replit, because Replit knows your program. Ask Replit to give you a short scenario for creating a viral. Use those keywords: viral, captivating, emotional, grabbing, catchy, sort of short film. And then send it to Replit, just like I did now, and allow the agent to work. If you run out of agents in one day, that's fine. The next day you have free agent. You still have very much time until you submit this whole thing. So make use of your time. And you see what Replit is doing for me right now. See, Replit is not even, it's not known to be a content generator or any kind of thing, but it's already doing it for me. It's telling me how I would start my, you know, my hook which is very important. How would I begin it? There's a culture. The world hasn't seen this culture yet, blah, 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 the scenes and all that stuff. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. If you want to be perfect in creating content and create something high quality, don't just come and use this one, because Replit is also going to reference for you to use the pictures that you have, which is very good. You see, like it says cut to option 1, JPEG. So it's telling you what you show in your content. But you don't have to just copy this whole thing and say, yeah, I just got my whole plan. I'm going to just do this, generate videos, connect them, blah, blah, blah. That's it. No, you have to take all this stuff, take everything it's giving you, all of that, all of that, all of that. And then go back to Gemini, because Gemini is very good when it comes to creating content and scenarios. Then you go to Gemini, you open up your Gemini, give a space like that, okay? Paste what you just copied from, from Replit, all that stuff, paste it there. It's okay, Gemini will solve and resolve the whole thing. But before you send it to Gemini, scroll down on this document and use the next prompt. So the next prompt is this one. This is very important. This prompt is saying that using all the information below, create a scenario that is viral, emotional, trailer, touching the hearts of the viewing audience who want to watch it, can immediately try out MBOA Flix, my MBOA Flix app. Make sure the short viral video trailer is pitching the MBOA Flix as, as a Cameroonian theme, from Cameroon to the world. Put everything you want in here, but one thing you should pay attention to before you copy this prompt is for you to not waste your credits, because I think everybody knows you have free credits on vids. I'm going to talk about vids, by the way, in a few minutes. So you don't want to waste your credits, because you don't have credits to waste, especially now. If you use it too much, then they block you and give you till next month before you can have free credits. So you have to be smart. So you want to say that the scenario that you're going to be creating has to be broken down into visuals, settings, character, and don't use children. Don't put anything religious. Don't put any famous person. And avoid all that, you wouldn't have any problems. So another important thing, apart from saying that you want it broken down into this, make sure you say that each scene should generate 8-second video clips using BEO 3.1, because that's what you have on Gemini, or that's what you have on Google Flow, because Google Flow has videos, but it's not as great as Gemini. Gemini, when you use bids, it gives you a better result. Google Flow kind of changed a little. I don't know what they did there, but it changed. It's good when it comes to Omni. That's something else. So anyways, you copy this whole prompt, you read it very well, you tweak it a little bit and tweak it to make sense to what you want. And then you come back here and just paste it right in front of this whole space that you've just given, right? That's it. And then you send it to Gemini. And so what Gemini will do is to kind of break this down for you into scenarios. And make sure you're on thinking, by the way, because there's splash go to thinking, because it gives it more time. And then it will give you this viral short film scenario and tell you, okay, well, this is how you start. It will tell you, okay, because I said that I wanted something silent, but then Gemini actually suggested that you start silent and you build up and you start to speak and you get more of that, concentration. And you see it's telling you scene 1, this is what you should do. Scene 2, this is what you should do. And now, how do you make use of this? Okay, scene 1. Don't just copy this and go and put it and generate a video, because you're going to generate rubbish if you do that. Don't do it that way. I'll show you the trick. Now, first of all, you go to your email. Make sure that you have vids. If you don't see it on your email, just search it online. Everybody has vids. If you have a Google account and your Gmail has no problem, then you have vids. You can have multiple Google accounts and multiple vids. They give you vids free for, I think, a month. So what you'll do is you click on VEO 3.1. Then you'd come over to say, animate an image. Don't say create from scratch. Because if you do that, what happens is if you have a text overlay that you're supposed to put in there, it's going to be rubbish text. And if people see rubbish text, they're already off it, because this is AI again. So they're not having any connection to reality. Switch it to animate an image and then go back to Gemini. Then start with your first scene, your hook. What you will do is copy this whole scene like this. Then come down to this Ask Gemini, and then very importantly say, create a viral, use those kind of keywords again. There's a reason why I keep repeating that word. High quality, graphical image. If you want to be creative, think about the genre, maybe 3D CGI, maybe, you know, black and white, you know, film noir, something like that, or see what you can do. Anyways, create a viral high quality graphical image based on the following. And that's it. Oh, and one more thing, make sure you specify what the aspect ratio is going to be. So aspect ratio of 16:9 means horizontal screen. 9:16 means vertical, unless if you're going for that, but generally it's horizontal. That's what we expect. So once you do that, you just paste everything you copied. See, I just pasted everything. Now pay attention. You copy the visuals, you copy the character profile, an adult Cameroonian, okay, keep that there. Make sure it's not a child because that will give you problems. And then come down, take out anything soundtrack. Obviously you can't make a picture with soundtrack, so take that out. Then keep the text overlay because that explains, that will put nice text on your picture. Take out the transition because that's something you will do in the video. And then once you're done, send it to Gemini and then wait for Gemini to generate. So Gemini is the best when it comes to generating images up until now. For any generative AI, if you go and try yourself, the images are never as good as what you get here. So you want to see what you get. Once you get your image, then you're good to go. Now you're going to go and start making your video. I'll show you an example of how to do that. Now make sure, my advice is use Vids. Okay, I don't advise much to use Google Flow unless if you find some sort of way of how to use Google Flow, because Google Flow is a bit weird now. Weird in the sense that the text is rubbish and sometimes doesn't follow your instruction. I think they're still working on that, but you can see what I got from the beginning. You see how this already captivates when we make it into a video. There is a culture the world hasn't fully seen yet. So it's getting there, right? Now, once you download this, download your picture, then go to your vids. Go to your vids here, okay, vids. Now, once you're here, you're gonna do this. Using the image attached here, okay? Let me spell that right, okay. Yeah, so using the image attached here, you're not going to say too much, just very short. Create a viral, again, you can say high quality, again, video clip this time. Showing this, that's it, and put a colon, that's all. Then what do? Upload your picture, the one that you just downloaded, this one, put it here. And then what do? Go back to Gemini, go back to your scene 1. So come out of this, go back to scene 1. And copy everything from scene 1 without missing anything this time. Copy everything like this. Now come back to your vids and paste it down here. And then do a little change, First of all, your visuals will stay the way they are because it's describing what is in the picture. The only thing you can do maybe at the end is say as shown in the picture attached here. That's the only thing you can add, so that you're referencing to the AI to kind of use the picture that you already have here. That's it. Now, when you come down to character profile, take it out. Otherwise, Gemini will add another character that you really don't need. You're already talking about an adult Cameroonian. Okay, take the character profile part out, right? Keep that adult Cameroonian master artisan, keep that in. But when you come here, make sure you don't put 40 years old or whatever, just put in brackets saying, as shown in the picture attached here. Why? Because Gemini would look and say, who is the Cameroonian in the picture? Let me see. So it sees a human, so it's obviously referencing. You can be more specific. The male shown here, the guy with the hand like this, whatever. You be more specific and then it understands. Now, once you're here, take this part out. You know why I'm highlighting it? Because I want to put it in the action. Take your action up. Then your action, paste what I just cut out. So it starts with an adult Cameroonian master artisan. He's focusing on his hands, no face visible yet, because that's how the picture is. And so the hands move, blah, 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 everything else. And then at the end, you can still do the reference again as shown in the picture attached here. You have to keep referencing because the AI is not, it doesn't have common sense, unfortunately. So you have to keep giving reference. Now, soundtrack, keep the soundtrack the way it is because it goes with the scene. The text overlay, this is something that most people have big problems with, the text. Now, because you don't have Gemini Omni, Google has released something called Gemini Omni. Gemini Omni is the one you guys saw what we did with the cat video. It gives you, like, you just type whatever you want and it gives you a video with all text accurate. You don't have to worry about rubbish text. But with the free one that you have right now, if you just leave this the way it is, the text overlay section, then you're going to have a video whereby the text is going to look rubbish. And that's what you don't want. So what we usually do, there's a trick. Let me see if I can find that trick text. Give me one moment. I probably will put this for you. I just forgot to put it, but actually it's a very important trick. In content creation, we have one trick where we have to re-emphasize to the AI that we want the text overlay to stay the way it is. So we constantly use this text and it constantly works for us every single time. And I'll give you access to it. I copy the text, by the way, the one that I told you is a trick. I'm going to go back, look for where you have action, okay? And then go to the end of where action ends, just before soundtrack or whatever is there. Paste that trick text, this one. The trick that you need to make your text overlay come the same. Now go down, look for where your text overlay was, which was here, right? Copy this whole thing from quotation mark starting to quotation mark ending. Copy it the way it is, cut it out, and then come back and paste it right after where you see this trick text that I was talking about, like here. And so say there is a culture. Now, what you can do is, in fact, avoid doing this whole thing where you're putting like separate text. Just put it, like a text, like ... something like that, and maybe hit enter, whatever. But just make sure you have one quotation that starts, one quotation that ends. Otherwise, the AI is not going to understand that you have like two, it's going to understand you have two different texts, and it's just going to put two different things. So this is the way you do this, okay? And then once you're done, that's it. Now you copy the description of how your text should play on the video. This is important. This is explaining how the text should show. Cut it out, go back up again to where you have the action, and then where you have that trick text that I told you I copy pasted, right? This one. Now go to where it says text overlay, right after there, open parentheses, and then paste that description of how your text should be displayed. That's it. That's the trick. And that will make your text come out most of the time without any problems. And you're done. Then take out all the spacing, take everything out, and you're done, you're good to go. And now you send it to Gemini to work on it. And then you will see your clip, and you have to just build on. It's the same procedure you're gonna do for all the other ones. So practice makes perfect. You try it out, Again, just be careful with your credits. I would advise if you have, another Gmail, then maybe perhaps you can, if this one runs out, because I have like 5-6 free Gmails, and I use them and alternate between them. So this is one thing. Try Google Flow as well. Yeah, it's funny. I have 5-6. I'm kind of bypassing the AI with credits. Because imagine if we just had to, it's actually not expensive to pay if you actually want to devote your speciality for this. So it's not something expensive. Okay, so while this is generating, we've got like 56%. Let's go back real quick because of the timing. So I'll come back and show you that video. So that's all for the trailer. I'm going to show you an example of a trailer so you can see, but I just want to move towards, and by the way, your trailer is something that you should be putting in your portfolio, okay? Put it in the portfolio, maybe somewhere at the top, I don't know, somewhere by the side. You should put it there, and you should probably upload it on YouTube, create your own YouTube channel. And as you continue to create software, you always put your promotional trailer. It's very important. People see what your software can do, see what it is about, see why it's relevant, and they want to try it. You put a link in the description where they can go and try it out. And if you're wondering how can you share your software, your MBOA Flix, to everyone, then you know that when you finish on Replit, all you have to do is come here and type and say, well, you don't have to type actually. When you're done, click publish. That's it. You have a free publish, I think for 1 month, if I'm not mistaken. And once you click publish, what the AI will do is that it will convert all your files into React.js, which is the general language, programming language that the AI is set to create these kind of web apps on. And they will just stick to your code. Just tell it, stick to my code, do this, use the same template, but get it ready for publishing. And once you click publish, it will just give you the link. It will do some work, like less than 5 minutes, and say, here's the link. And then you can share that with anybody. If you want to make money from your app, ask Gemini and say, I want to monetize my app. What should I do? So usually it will tell you to connect, it will tell you to connect either with Revenue Cat, because I know that Replit has a partnership with a company called Revenue Cat, and there you can actually publish your app and you get you can put the monthly fee. I think it's $12 or something. If anybody uses your app, then they pay you a certain amount. So you can do, so you see Replit is asking you, what kind of monetization do you want? Subscription, one-time purchase, and all that stuff. You communicate with it and get your app to publish. At least maybe you can make money from this. Maybe this will be the start of many for you. So this is just how you begin on this one. Okay, so I'm going to go back now. So that's for publishing. Now let's get back to the vids. Okay, the video's ready. Let's see what we have. Okay, that's the start. So you have to see if that's something, it's silent because it starts with a heading. But did you notice that the text is not rubbish? Now try doing this without putting that trick text and see what happens. It's just going to come out all joggled up and things are going to be rubbishly written. So this is a trick on how to avoid that. Okay, this is always what we teach our students, and I'm giving you that trick. So you just have to add another scene and keep working on it and building it up, and just be a perfectionist and make sure you come with a really good work. So let me show you the final work of how you can make this trailer. So watch this trailer. Tell me if you can hear it. This is the complete MBOA Flix trailer example. Okay. By the way, can you guys hear this? I just want to be sure before I start playing anything. Can you guys, let me come back. Can you guys all hear it? Yeah, was good? Okay, all right, I'll play it full screen. Okay, so then let's start from the beginning.
We built something for the world.
Your journey starts with one step.
Discover. See what the world is choosing. Every thread tells a story. MBOA Flix makes sure it's never forgotten.
Where culture meets the screen. Togu. Hand-woven.
That's it, guys. So that kind of a thing is what you need. You need to take your time to do that way. And if you do what I told you to do, then you'll get a better result even than that. Okay, so that's the trailer. That's what you should have. If you do trailers like that of what you create, publish it out, and you definitely will get views. You definitely will get yourself seen. You definitely will get jobs. You can even start your own business. Keela, you raised your hand. Go ahead before I do the last parts. Go ahead, Keela.
Now, I know most of these videos, when building them, you also need the camera angle, but I didn't see it here. I just hope somehow AI understood and just brought it the way it looks like in the video you just from showing us.
That's a very good question, Keela. Thanks for bringing that up. That's true. And that's why I showed you an easier way. So without putting specifics of camera angle and how things should be, if you just follow the exact same thing I said about using Gemini to refine the way your scenes will be broken down to make this final results that you've seen. I haven't done anything about camera angles. I made that video just as a prototype to show you guys today. There's nothing about camera angles. I can show you the raw, even though the raw one doesn't have like the prompts I did, but all I did was the same thing that I did here, that I showed you here. And I just try to perfect it, just try to cut some things out, maybe trim the video a little, don't want this part to be shown. That's it. And it just was easy peasy. You always have to make things easier for yourself. but gives you a very high quality result. And what is the high quality result? Make sure it is captivating from the start to the end. Make sure the text is not rubbish at all. Try to cover the VEO star. Don't leave it there, because once people see that, they're already off. It's AI again. Try to put your own logo. You notice there's Nazli Tech logo right there. Put your own. You can create your own logo. And that's really what makes you a high-end content creator. If you continue like this on and on and on and on and on, you're going to become perfect. And soon people will start sending you proposals. That's what we get in our school. We have people who send proposals to do collaboration in content creation and stuff like that, because many people want to see different type of ways you can create content and sell their app or sell their software, sell their products. So again, that's a good question, but there wasn't any specific thing I used. I just did what I showed you I did, and it gave me that result. So moving on to the last parts before we go, because it's time up. Okay, Replit story. This is important because you can actually get your work featured, guys. So isn't that great? If you get your work features, let me go and open it. I always have problem when I open the link like this. Let me go for Replit stories. It's great if Replit can feature you. Very good. And great even because we can get you links back to us, which is nice. That's something we like a lot. So when you come to the link that I gave you, just go search, share my Replit story. What they want every week is they want to see people who have done things on Replit using agent. You guys can see always there's agent 4, right? At the top right corner. So agent 4 is their latest agent, unless they, oh, it's right here even. There it is. So you click on submit a story, give it a nice headline. They will guide you through the process. It's pretty simple. It tells you to give it a headline. So let's say blah, blah, blah. I'm just putting that for now, of course. Then you go give it a tagline. Then you put something there. Then you go, it says, now tell us why should we feature your story? Why should we feature your app? They're saying story as in your app. And explain really well. Use Gemini again, because Gemini is always the go-to tool to give you ideas, but to not sound like it's an AI writing these or speaking it. Say, sound like me, like what I will think, and describe yourself a little. And it will give you some ideas, and you can come and tweak them a little and type it here of why MBOA Flix should be on the feature of whatever cover they have coming up next. And then just share it. So when you share it, you can post it on your LinkedIn and say, I shared a story on Replit, and tag Replit itself. That's it. If they feature you, good. If they don't feature you, you've done something on a very renowned platform like Replit. So this is something that we encourage our students to do, especially in the software development app courses that we always give out. And it's been very good in terms of like putting yourself out there again. Imagine how many people are online all saying that they do software, but what makes them different from you? Like what makes you a different software engineer or developer from someone else? If you don't stand out, you're always going to remain like that. So you have to always try to stand yourself out and take any opportunity you have. So it's free, why not? So that's for that. The last one is the SDLC. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that some of you who are in university and maybe are studying software engineering or computer science, I think you must have come across the software development lifecycle. It's important. That's how you pitch any idea. That's how you create your proposal. So you can take it to a client, take it to a company and say, okay, I'm going to develop a MBOA Flix app for this tourism company in Cameroon. So what is it? You got to talk about the problem, just like Ms. Yadira said. What is the problem and what is the solution? Because in Cameroon, many people, even the Cameroon diaspora abroad, they're not connected so much to the roots. They don't really understand the system in Cameroon, maybe in different things they need to know, and maybe people also outside. So you put that, you have the analysis, you have the solution, you have the design. So there are stages, and I want you to go back and research it for yourself. Ask online and say, what are the stages for a software development lifecycle, and make it easy to explain to me. And then you'll see that Google gives you a very good explanation. Now for this particular project, what you will do is very simple. You will go back to Gemini, or Gemini is always what I refer back to. Go here, just to give you an idea. And then you'll tell Gemini that based on this PDF document, and I'll talk about what document I'm referring to, that contains information about my MBOA Flix app development timeline, right? I'm not going to write too much, so I'll just give you the idea. Give me a broken down proposal, say professional proposal, following the software development lifecycle. And this should be after you've actually understood what it is yourself. Following the software development lifecycle, it's just like you heard, it's a life cycle. It's like from what starts your product, from where you start as a prototype, all the way to like the final delivery. So following the software development lifecycle stages, make sure you say that, okay? And then what you do is that document, remember the one I told you that you download from Replit, this one, that's the document you're gonna upload for it. And so you upload this document and then you allow Gemini to do its work. And just make sure you read it so that it makes sense, so that if you compare it with what you have done, with what Gemini is saying, that there's no hallucination. And then based on that, that's what we want you to take and put in a very well-structured document, and you're done. But make sure that it is explaining the process in which your MBOA Flix app has been created following the software development lifecycle. So we want to see that in professionality. So this is going to help you when you go and you get a job from a tech company or from anybody, somebody even in your community, and it's an official body, they want you to create a software for them. You have to give them a proposal first, right? So, and make the proposal easy enough for whoever is not familiar with code to understand, whoever is familiar to also understand. So you can see that it starts with the planning. This is exactly the first stage in software development lifecycle. It's called planning and analysis. And it says the objective of this project is to develop MBOA Flix, complete cultural, desktop, blah, blah, blah. There's all the things there. It's giving the core requirements. It's going to the system design. Do you see what it's doing? It's breaking down the architecture, explaining this with even references to your pictures from your app itself. Then it's talking about the implementation of what stages and how it was implemented based on all the information. Then it's talking about the testing phase, moving from the prototype to blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is what we want to see, and you just have to copy everything and put it in a document, but don't just slap it there again. Make sure you arrange it well and even put screenshots of the pictures it's talking about. So I think I'm gonna let you do this to very high, to your creativity level. There's a trick thing I wanna show you real quick. If you copy all this stuff, okay, copy everything. Now I'm saying when you've confirmed that this is all correct and you've put this on, I would advise you to go put this on a document. This is always what I do. Open a docs on your computer or on your Gmail, whatever, and go through the information. Once you're fine with all this stuff, you're saying, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense. Then go back to Replit, but this time you're gonna go somewhere different. When you go to Replit, you have the agent free to use every single day, right? So why don't you use it? Sometimes if you use it too much, be careful. It will lock you and it will give you access only after 21 days. But it's okay, because if you have another Gmail, you can go and create another Replit and you can just remix your app, invite yourself, your new account to this old account, and then just continue working on that one. So it's a trick again. So you remix your app there. However, what I'm saying is when you come here, if you want to do a really nice, captivating portfolio, switch over to slides. This is for anything in your work. And then say, create an interactive professional proposal, whatever, document for my MBOA Flix app development timeline using exactly the same information attached here. That's all, very simple. Now you go attach that information or even copy paste it, it's fine. You see, I just pasted it. It just made a document itself. What did I paste? I pasted that information, this whole thing. I just pasted it there. And so what you do is send it to your AI and then wait. Now Replit slides is very, very, very high quality. It gets you very high quality slides. Some of those slides that you see that Nazli Tech School has, we use Replit slides because it's so good. So you just have to make sure your information is done well. It takes the time, you got to go over it, and I'll leave this to work so I can go into the last part and we'll come back and see what it's made. Now, just make sure you expand it just like your project, expand it here, allow it to work. Once it's done, it will tell you it's done. Then you will see the slide for yourself. You see it's already starting to make it, and then you just download it for yourself, okay? It's asking me how long should it be. I mean, if it asks you the question, then you can probably just answer it. Maybe I should say 7, 12, I don't know, anything, if it asks you that question. It's also telling me what kind of example I want. Maybe I'll go for something like this. Let's go send. And you can also skip all that and just say use your own creativity to do this. And it does it with its own creativity. So that's that's just a trick I wanted to show you as well with Replit. Now let's go to the last part and we'll come back and see what it's made. Now, the last part's the last submission stuff. So this is your SDLC. I think that's it. So all this stuff needs to be uploaded into your Google Drive folder that we will give you access to on the 26th of June, as we've mentioned in the post. So you can upload there all your stuff. Make sure all the things are uploaded there without anything missing. And the deadline is on June 29th. You have to have all these stuff ready and ready to go. Now, once we receive everything, we compile everything, of course. We'll tell you when you will receive your final certification. Obviously, that's going to be from Mrs. Kumo and Mr. Kila. They will give it to you because we will send it to them digitally, and they will give you what needs to be given. We will also announce, of course, the best student, the best 3 students, that's Digital Wall of Fame, and also the best student who can get an internship offer, because we are creating many softwares at Nazli Tech School. We have some developers working on them that are very young and talented too, and we have those flagships coming out. So you might join us in that project, gives you more experience, and who knows, you can even get some paid job from that, because we do pay for some of these jobs when we assign them to you. We understand how finance is very important as well. But you have to help. Yeah, you have to help as a person, as a professional. You have to spread the word out. You have to talk about your experience. You have to speak to people, try to improve yourself, try to drag more attention, all that stuff. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Did I miss anything? Is there any questions so far? I'm trying to see if I missed anything right now. Any questions? Okay, let me come over to Kila, because Kila is asking a question. Let me see, this is still working, by the way. Okay, so while it's working, let me come back to the classroom. Go ahead, Kila. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Alicia. We are very happy. This is a very great
You're
journey.
welcome.
I don't know how we can appreciate you showing us this opportunity and bringing it to light. My question goes on the fact that some students reached out to me this morning asking me if what should they really do if they didn't check in lesson one. Should they really vote in the polls that you've sent? I don't know.
That's a good question. So I think we got some emails from Anslem, from Indy. These are students that are competent. They sent us email because I think they contacted you and Ms. Kumo. That's what you should do. You should send us an email and say that, okay, I have done this lesson one quiz, and make sure you know what you're saying, because if you say you have done it, we're going to check the timestamp of where you submitted, when you submitted it on Google Form, not Google Classroom. And so you say, I have done it on time, but I forgot to turn it in on Google Classroom. Can you please accept my, my assignment, my turn-in, but I did it on time. And then you can send a screenshot, and what we'll do, our admin team, sometimes I see the email, we'll check the timestamp, and if it is indeed done on time, then you have no problem. But if it is late submitted, then of course points are going to be taken out. You don't expect to give us a lie and expect us to believe you in that. So that's really what happened, Mr. Kila, with Indeed Christ, and with Anslem, and they've solved their problems. So if anyone has a similar problem, they can do the same thing.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Because I think I have covered all. Is it understandable? Do you now understand what you're supposed to do? Yeah? Okay. All right. We're looking forward to seeing what you guys will do. I think Ms. Como and Mr. Kila are looking forward to. We're going to send us, and I think they would organize for you. I don't want to say anything because they're the organizers, but we're hoping you get like a nice end of graduation party. Who knows, where you can celebrate, be happy. Yes, Gani, I will send the document later on. I will send it either today or tomorrow, that document that I showed you guys, because you need to see the prompts and all that stuff. I will do that. You're welcome. Let's go and check out Gemini. Let's see what Gemini is doing. So Gemini is still working to generate. I think we can give it maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Let's just give it 1 or 2 minutes. It will be done. It doesn't really take much time, but it's planning out the slides, which is why. So you just have to be patient. But in the meantime, if there's any other questions while we wait, Kila, go ahead. Raise your hand.
Is this session recorded?
Yes, it's recorded, and I'm even afraid that it's 2 hours. How we're going to post it on. Anyway, the media team will find a solution, but it is recorded. So yeah, it will be available. I don't know when, but I'm pretty sure this week. This week will be available. We'll let you know once it's available. It's almost there, guys. I don't know. Let's see if it's going to be fast. Let me see what the status is. Still working to create the 6th slide. So if you want, I mean, we can stay. If not, I can show you and post it later on and see what the result is. But really, at the end of the day, you get some really good slides. Let me just show you an example while that's working. There was a slide for a student who did like a space. Let me see if I can find the guy. He's called Ryan. His slide I want to show you because it's really good. And I'm showing you the kind of slide that the Gemini does. So this is just an example. Like this was a space project, and this is for like a middle school student. Can you imagine like a student in middle school that did like a project on space and was trying to do something on a proposal, and look at how Gemini was able to take that into developing stages of what they've done. So that's why I told you that it's very good in slide, in creation and stuff like that. So you can really make use of it if it's finished. I'll post it, I think, later on because we need to wrap up. So is there any other questions regarding anything else that I've mentioned before we wrap up? No? Okay, well, we're going to be ending here. Just pay attention to your WhatsApp group and remember to complete the polls. It's really important for us. We need to see your response for the polls because that's how we determine at the end to even do report cards, to know who we're supposed to do report cards for. Ms. Kumo, go ahead.
Miss Alicia, can you speak about the MBOA program, even if it's just for 5 minutes?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Como. That's very good of you to mention that because, to be honest, I forgot. I did want to speak, but I forgot. Okay, so let me find the MBOA program. So the MBOA program actually came as an inspiration from you guys because we didn't plan to do it. Let me just see if it's here. I'm not really sure if it's the proposal. Give me one moment. Where it is. We didn't plan to do this. I mean, we have other projects that were, okay, I think it's this one. So basically, this project is split into 2 parts. And like I said, it came as an inspiration from you guys and how we saw some of you being dedicated. We have students who pay, and those who pay are dedicated. But as you know, those who come for free courses are always, I don't know, you're coming for something free, yet you expect people to follow you and tell you, oh, come and do this and that. I mean, this should be the least thing you can do, is to be responsible enough. So for our courses that we have, as you guys know, we have free collaborations and we have paid collaborations, and we have free courses and we have paid courses. So MBOA came as an inspiration from you guys, which we've made paid for Cameroon and beyond. It's all of Africa and beyond. So we even want people from other countries, which is what we're actually trying to do right now with this program, and we'll soon hopefully open it up, to create a game that is quite common. I'm not a Cameroonian, but from the research that we've done, quite common in Cameroon, that relates to one of the classic games that we have, rock, paper, scissors, because everybody knows that, right? But everybody knows whenever you go and look at all the games online, just go online, look at all the games. If you see any software developer creating a game, it's usually based on the same thing. Like if you look at Space Invaders, for example, it's usually the same. Like there's no change, there's no connection between a game and how it should be. So MBOA was created as a game design development. It's the 2nd software app game project course that we are launching. And this is a paid course. So here we're focusing on 2 languages as options. Either you learn to develop and start learning to create games that are integrating AI with content, with data science, with marketing, and all in place, all in one. Because when you create a game, it's not enough again. You have to market it because you want to be able to get something in return to sell it. You want your audience to be able to play it. Like in Morocco, we have Game Expo, which you guys know about. The last Africa Game Expo, I think, was in Morocco, isn't it? So Africa has so many games. And my dad is Nigerian, and there are many games in Africa. And I think if you know how to transmit that to even in Cameroon, like the places, they can be scenes in the game, the worlds. It's just, it's really sad that we don't get to see much of this coming out. We still see the generic games that were fed through the European system and all that stuff. Anyways, this is broken down into Java, Python. The plan is here. I think Ms. Kumo has shared it. We've shared the plan. It's a very brief plan of how just the general outline, the characters you're going to be making. You can be more creative about these characters, the rules of the game, how things play out. It's going to be one of many. And the thing is, if you actually join this program, you are going to be entitled to be in a competition that we're launching in Africa and beyond. We did it last time, a programming competition. We're going to do one. And there is, at the end of the day, many things that you benefit from completing the competition. Apart from the part that you benefit skills, you have these many games that you've created that you actually pitch and sell, and you can actually, propose. We usually get sometimes some companies send to us and ask us if we can create for them a game using their own software, or we can pitch something. So when we see these type of opportunities, students that are usually enrolled in these courses, we direct them to apply to this and we help them. And because you already have portfolios and things you've built, then that helps you to just make yourself stand out and get hired. Because as you know, hiring is a very, very difficult thing right now. And obviously, I always encourage students to start their own businesses. To be honest, I think if you start your own business, over time, just save the money. It really helps you to build what you're passionate about, and then, create on your own time and space, and just perfect your work and your skill. And always go for one niche, but make sure you're a jack of all trades. So this course doesn't only teach you gaming, but teaches you AI integration, teaches you data science, teaches you content development, teaches you marketing. So many things. And at the same time, pitches you out there so you can be able to get your first gaming job, game development job, perhaps attend a conference or a forum, which I'm going to come to, by the way, I almost forgot that. Or even just, use this to be able to start your own business, to be able to pitch this to companies and stuff and whatnot. So this is how the program is. The program runs from 13 to 32 years old. It's open, like I said, to everyone, Cameroonians and beyond, because we don't limit anything to just one particular place. There might be some people from other countries that will be very interested in creating this. And we've been getting some responses, and we're trying to gather so we can open our first group. So if you're interested in this, contact Kila and Kumo. They will give you more insight to it because they know what the procedure is. And Ms. Kumo obviously has been posting about it and telling you about it. So just contact her as well, or Kila, and get more information. And yeah, and this is open now for registration, but you've got to fill the form. So that's pretty much it for Ampe Shaba. Any questions about that? No? Okay. Well, let's see if, as I was speaking, maybe Gemini is done. Okay, so Gemini is done with and you know why it's giving me this plain background, right? Because I said I wanted that plain background. Like I said, you can skip it. And you saw the Ampe Shaba presentation, right? That presentation was done by our media team on Replit slides. So again, it depends on what you want. If you want black and white, and all you do once you actually want to see this, just download it. I'm just showing you an example and open it up. And if you don't want this type of bland design and you want, oh, give me this color, put this one here, just keep sending the command and it will keep changing it. And in the beginning, if you wanted to go crazy and just do something, then don't specify, just allow it to do it itself. So I'm going to open it for you here. And I think we're going to be wrapping up right now. So this is how it created it. You see it, it puts the name and all that stuff at the top. This is the software development lifecycle, defining the builds, the cultural modules, the architecture and all that stuff, the engines, what you've been using, the live engagement tracking, it's explaining all that based on what you have. Just make sure, one thing though that I advise you to do is make sure what it's giving you, like here it's talking about fashion, culinary, economics, music, that's good. It's giving me a generalized thing, but I might want to go more specific to Togo fabric and fashion, to Dole cuisine and national cuisine. So I'm just saying that go back and check all this information before you finally decide and say, yeah, this is the one I'm going to submit for my software development lifecycle. Okay, so this is the software development lifecycle project. This is not the, thing, but this is not the proposal. Remember, the proposal was this. I think the proposal is so good in the way it looks. So you might want to do more colorful stuff, or something at least that looks nice, professional, not too out there. So I think that's pretty much it. That's all. Do we have any other questions? And is everything clear and okay? So I don't think I'm going to get to see you guys again. Maybe some of you will see in Ampe Shaba, but remember that you've come a long way. So remaining a few more, steps for you to finish this successfully. Don't give up. Always push hard, and never say no to anything when it comes to job. Work hard and you get it. So don't say yes too if you can't do it. But try to always put yourself in a position where I can, I will, I'll try, I'll do it, and I'll do it. So that's really how it works. I give you my experience. I've been traveling to different countries before we started Nazli Tech School. I was in Bolivia, I was in Malaysia, I was in Nigeria, I was in Morocco. Obviously, my parents are one from Nigeria, one from Morocco. But it's given me a lot of experience, and I started teaching like when I was 17, started in a Kumon center in Malaysia. Kumon, if you guys know about it, it's that Japanese place where they teach math. And that was really what got me into this whole thing. So I'm saying from my experience, push, 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 never say no, but never at the same time say yes to something that's bigger than you. Okay, guys. Yes, thanks everyone. It was nice to see you guys. I look forward to seeing everyone graduate successfully. If there's any questions, let us know. If anything, contact Miss Kumo and Mr. Kila, and they'll get back to you. Take care, everyone, and have a good night. It was a long evening, so see you guys soon. Take care. All right, I'm gonna log out. Bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye, take care. Bye.